Hello, college algebra student. In this video, we're going to continue with algebra review of graphing of lines. So in the previous video, we learned how to graph by y-slope and y-intercept when you change the whole equation into y equal to mx plus b. In this one, we will use the graphing calculator to graph. So the graphing calculator that we use online is Desmo. So what you do is you would go to a browser and Google Desmo. And do Google Desmo calculator, actually it will show up. So it's desmo.com.calculator, or you just Google Desmo and then click graphing calculator. So to graph a line, you do not have to say y equal. You can just do graph the line that you want. So in our example, we want to graph 2x minus 3y equal to negative 12 and locate the x and y intercepts. Okay, 2x minus 3y. So we just write 2x minus 3y equal to negative 12. Is it negative 12? Are we doing negative 12? Yes. So that's it. You don't have to do y equal and they will graph it for you. So where is the x-intercept? The x-intercept is when the line cut the x-axis. So it is negative 6, 0. The y-intercept is 0, 4. So if you click on it, it will show up. The coordinate will show up. So so that's what you do. You bring up your worksheet, in this case in our notes, and sketch it. So we'll say x-intercept is equal to negative 6, 0. Y-intercept is equal to 0, 4, right? So you can use it to actually help you to graph negative 6, 4, and graph it. So that's 2x minus 3y equal to negative 12. It's quite easy. So the next thing we want to do is simplify roots and radical. When we're dealing with quadratic equations, you see that I didn't solve quadratic equation yet. Very often we have to deal with roots and radicals. So what is a root? Roots is this. More technical term is a radical. So this is a radical. They're both, this symbol is a radical. So if you have a number inside, which is a radicand, so say for example a, okay, so this is called a radicand. So a root doesn't have to be just like that. The radicand, okay, a and d, okay. Radicand is the number that is inside. The number that is next to the root is called the index. And if there's no index, that means it's 2. That means it's a square root. So how can you simplify it? So the easiest way is if it is a perfect root. So perfect square root, perfect cube root, then it's just go to a number. But in case this is not, then it is in simplest form when there is no factors with powers greater than or equal to the index. So you cannot have a power that's greater than 3 as a factor. That it would be the simplest. And also there's no fraction underneath the radical, so you cannot have 4 over 5. There should be no fraction. The inside has to be an integer. And also there should be no radicals in the denominator. So you cannot have 1 over. So 1 over square root 3 is not good. Square root of 4 over 3 is also not good. You cannot have, like, inside the radical, you should not have fraction underneath it. Yeah. So actually square root 8 is not good because you can have you have some square factor. So the easiest one are those with perfect square or perfect cube. So we know this is a perfect square because 25 is 5 square, right? So a square root and a square cancel, so that's equal to 5. And this is 27 is a perfect cube. So you would write it as 3 cube. Cube and cube root cancel, so that's equal to 3. If you run into a number that's really big and you really don't know, you can also use your graphing calculator. Your graphing calculator that we used earlier is actually a calculator. So say, for example, I don't know if square root of 324. Oh gosh. No, I don't need this. So I don't know if square root of 324, is it a perfect square? Oh, you can use this and then use the calculator here to say, oh, it's actually 18, square root 18. Or maybe you don't know 125 cube root. Where's the cube root? We don't have the cube root sign here. I think function miscellaneous here. Function miscellaneous, this one. So you can say cube root, and oh, I don't know if 125 is a perfect cube root, so you can do that. If they give a whole number, that means they're perfect cube or perfect square. Okay, so in this case, you can write it this way, or you can use the calculator to do. So like earlier we did another one. We did 324 is equal to 18 using decimal, right? Decimal calculator can help us. Cube root of 125 is 5 because they're perfect. Now 80 is not, so we can use, we know that 81 is a perfect square, but if you have 80, see they give you a like a approximate number. It's a rounded approximate number, so which is not what we want. So to simplify radical is not the same as rounding. So the way to do it would be we would we know it is not a perfect square, so we would split it into a square number. So 80 would be 16 times 5, right? This is not a perfect square, but 16 is. How do I know? You basically go through them, go through all the square. 4, 9, 16, 25. You look at, see if each one of them are factors. I know 16 is a factor of 80, so I write it this way, and it is 5. So then you would do square root of 16 and square root of 5. Square root of 16 is 4, so it's 4 root 5. Okay. What about square root of 45? So I would simplify it as 2 times. So look at our list. Is any of these numbers a factor of 45? It's 9, right? 9 times 5. 9 times 5 is 45, and this is a square. So you would say 2 square root 9 square root 5. And so that would be 2 times 3 times root 5. So that's 6 root 5. So basically, that's how you simplify radical in exact value. So do not give an approximate rounded value. So that's all for the algebra review for chapter 2.